The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...
Ayo Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb. Yeah. J Will. Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Fan for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J Will. Welcome to the show, yeah. Wrestle, flow, yeah.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to, I guess, like a little bit of a relaunch of Wrestling Reverb. It is we're back after the first official episode since everything went down with Brainbuster Radio, and we're completely on our own. You're seeing this video cast just like the Josh Robinson cast. Kevin will be on video in the next couple of weeks when I get it all sorted, but for now, you still get to hear Kev, you get to see me, so, I mean, that's always a plus, but it's videocast, it's on podcast, it's everywhere, it's growing and expanding. Kevin, you really haven't, we recorded last week, but it was completely unusable because my audio was just being an absolute bitch, but you weren't here the week before, so this is really your little comeback to Wrestling Reverb after 2 or 3 weeks not here.
I know, and it's been such a crazy 2 or 3 weeks. A lot of shit has happened. But I'm glad to be back where I belong, glad to be back home.
Yes. It is I guess I'm officially titling this the hashtag Wrestling Reverb relaunch because I know for me at least, I know since I started this show, I think everything goes in waves and everything comes in like, you know, it goes through phases, but I kind of lost the core of what this show I want to be. I don't just want to be the same thing every single week. I do plan on bringing some stuff back. I know that Kevin will be excited because Reverb Rewind will be coming back very soon. I know you like that a lot. You've always just kept on.
Yeah.
Let's get back to that. And I want some more, some more people being on this show and stuff like that. So just finding the core of this show again, because not that I think we lost the core of it. It's just shit gets crazy and you keep going with the time. Kevin's got a brilliant new job that's just kind of, we've got to just find our groove again, and we're getting there again, but we need it. It was the last week, just in wrestling in general, but the audio becoming unusable was kind of a blessing for us because I could kind of rethink where I kind of want to go with the future, and the video cast was kind of more so people just asking because, hey, the Josh Robinson show is on video cast, and a lot more eyes are getting on it, and it kind of adds, a face to the voice. But Kevin will be on video very, very soon when I get that all sorted. Technology can be an absolute bitch when it wants to be, but hey, it's the start of something new, not to reference High School Musical. By the way, I did see you replied to my tweet. It's just, High School Musical 3 is the best. We're not going to get it.
No, I have a bone to pick with you because you are just so incorrect. The third one is a notch below 2 and 1. And it's that order. It's 2, 1, 3. You had it the exact opposite way, which is fucking bananas.
It's 3, 1, 2. That's the, and I'm not saying 2 is a bad movie. Just, by the ranking and by the order, that's just how it goes. 3 has the best music. 3 has the best acting. 3 was in the cinemas, in the theaters. So bigger by...
Yeah, that's what I don't like about it. I don't want it to be a well-acted cinematic experience. I want it to be a Disney Channel original movie with a bunch of shit actors singing songs. I don't want it to feel like a musical. I want it to feel like a high school movie with music in it, like the first 2 did. It felt like there was something funny about it. You know how they're just random high school predicaments and they start singing. That sort of got lost, I think, in the third one. I don't care that it was cinematic.
Someone's
great.
Triggered over here. Someone is
triggered. It looked fine. It looked fine, sure, but I don't know. I don't think the music was the best in 3. I think the music was the best in 2. Ooh. I got 3 of the top 5 songs coming from number 2. I've got Every Day at number 1. I've got I Gotta Go My Own Way is number 5, and You Are the Music in Me is number 3. I will say that 3 has some good music. I think the music in 3 is better than the music in 1, but I just didn't like 3 nearly as much.
I Just Want to Be With You is the best High School Musical song. I'm just throwing that out.
What is it?
I Just Want to Be With You.
No, not even the best from that movie.
Oh, and I Want It All. I always loved I Want It All.
Not even on the list.
Oh my god! You're a Troy person, aren't you?
Of course I'm a Troy person.
No, see, I'm Sharpay and Ryan all the way.
Oh, man.
Sharpay and Ryan
another bone to pick. So many people are thinking it's the cool way to go to be a Sharpay and Ryan person. Troy and Gabriella, without them, there's no movie. Sharpay and Ryan are great, and they have some great music, but you cannot compare to the chemistry that Troy and Gabriella had.
Let's just, I mean, we're never going to agree on this. Sharpay and Ryan are the better two.
I'm right and you're wrong.
Gabriella is always just like a minor inconvenience would happen. She's like, I'm breaking up with Troy and I'm moving. I'm like, all right, you just do you then. Get out of here. Stop making a big scene out of everything. Sharpay and Ryan are real.
Out of it. She made Gotta Go My Own Way because she was feeling neglected. And she deservedly so. She was being neglected. Troy was spending too much time at the University of Albuquerque basketball team.
Oh my god. You know what? Troy was too jaded with everything. He's like, do I want to be with Gabriella? Do I want to be this musical star? Do I want to be a basketballer? It's like, get over yourself, dude. Just like chill the hell out. Obviously, everyone's pressuring you into doing something. Just chill out and stop like. And then Gabriella would go around and she'd be like, oh my god, Troy looked at me the wrong way. I'm gonna move to New Mexico or wherever I was going. It's like, stop, Gabriella. At least Sharpay was like, real and actually went up to people and be like, I don't like you. I'm like, yeah, Sharpay, you do you. And he had some banging tunes. And she was rich. I mean, how can you hate that? Oh my god. Goals. I want to be rich.
Troy and Gabriella were rich in emotion and character.
Oh, of course you would say that. Spew. Bleh. Bleh.
Oh, yeah. Fuck you.
Regardless, one thing we can agree on with the High School Musical is that they're fucking amazing.
Yes, that is the thing. That is what I don't want to get lost here. I'm not saying I don't like the third one. The third one is very good. It's just a notch below the first two.
Everyone has their preferences. Hey, I put out a tweet yesterday that was kind of a little bit daring that I was kind of avoiding putting out, but I was like, hey, I'm going to put my opinion on the internet. I don't think AEW is necessarily going to be the place for me. I like it, and I think it's good, and I think it has certainly that it's scratching a lot of people's itches with a lot of stuff they do, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to be the place for me. However, I wasn't shitting on it, and for the most part, I got way more people in that tweet that I thought I would, but for the most part, everyone was pretty much like, that's cool, like, you're not shitting on a product. It just goes to show that this community on like wrestling Twitter can be cool about people's opinions. For the most part, I got a few people that I just instantly was like, I'm not dealing with you, block, goodbye. Of people being like, who the fuck asked for your opinion, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, the ratio of it was like nothing. You know what I mean? It was like a few people. But for the most part, it was pretty cool. But we did record after last week with Dynamite and stuff like that. But the first 2 weeks out, the hype is still there, definitely. It's only the first 2 episodes. The ratings are certainly there, and the following is certainly there. I know that you've enjoyed the shows the last 2 weeks, but how does your kind of opinion change from week 1 to week 2? Are you still enjoying it as much as you were? Are you not? Where's your head at with Dynamite and just AEW as a whole?
I really like this week. Maybe not as much as the week prior. I still have some little things that bother me, but that's going to happen with a new show. You have to give it room to grow. I thought the Young Bucks versus Private Party match was the best match of the night between AEW and NXT. It was very tight. I had to think about it, but I thought it was just excellent, and there were stakes to it.
Yeah.
Not that there weren't stakes to like Kushida and Walter, because you would think if Kushida won that match, he'd be in line for a UK title shot.
Yeah.
But, you know, the upset feeling of Private Party beating the Bucks, the tag team tournament advancement on the line, I really liked it. As for the main event stuff with Jericho and the Inner Circle, I'm not crazy about it. I think it screams like new world order thing. The stable doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to go. I thought, from my opinion, you should have probably, regardless of what you've got going on, you probably should have tried to stay away from people being able to at all pinpoint into being like, this is just WCW or this is just whatever. I can see the association. I see your point. I agree to a certain point. I'm just not crazy about, I mean, this is my take on it, is that in AEW, it seems to be cool, but if it was done anywhere else, I don't think it would be perceived as cool, because it's being done. I mean, faction wars are something that's always kind of happened. And not only that, it's just a very weird group of people. But I mean, I'm not trying to come across as someone that hates the AEW. I don't hate it. I'm still watched it. I still enjoyed it for what it was. I just don't necessarily know if it's going to be something that I watch long term, or if I'm going to get as invested in as everything else. It's not going to be for everybody. Just like WWE's product isn't it for everybody, or Impact, or New Japan, or whatever it may be. It's still wrestling. I still want it to succeed. I still want it to be absolutely amazing, and I think it has the potential to do that. It's just more so is the hype is there now, and I know a lot of people are saying like, oh my god, like don't say stuff like this, but like there is a honeymoon phase for everything. But I want it to be amazing, and I hope in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year's time, this thing is just blown up, and then it makes everybody else do better. So that's how I see it. It's good for the industry. So just because someone like me is just going, it's not necessarily for me, doesn't mean I want it to fail or anything like that. I want it to be amazing, and I want it to just do amazing. But NXT's been good. I've been watching NXT and AEW at the same time, but I thought last week's NXT was really, really good. This week's was not as good, but it was definitely still good. I like where they're building with some things and showing off some other stars, and we're building to, you know, some title matches and some match with some stakes and stuff like that on NXT, so that's nice to see. But I've enjoyed kind of the dynamic of watching wrestling at two different companies at once. It does feel like we're getting just a little bit of a taste of what it was like, when we weren't watching wrestling, when we were little babies. So, I mean, it's nice to kind of get that kind of feel and being like, was this what it was like when it was, Nitro and Raw? And obviously the similarities are there. It's two different companies, at the end of the day, they're on at the same time. So they are competing with one another. But I've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed the dynamic of NXT and AEW. Have you've been watching at the same time as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been double screening. One on my computer, one on my TV. And the first week I paid more attention to NXT. This week I paid more attention, I think, to AEW. I don't know if I don't know how I'm gonna really alter, because it's tough to pay attention to two screens at once.
Oh, it is. I mean, yeah, it is. I have AEW on my computer.
I honestly think that I might pay more attention to AEW, because I am liking it. I think it's a great alternative. Yeah. I think it's very different. But and NXT is not gonna lose me. I'm not gonna tune out of NXT completely. I think that it's still really great. I think that this is a very good episode. You have to remember that NXT at its core is still they still have to get new guys over.
Yeah.
You can't just deliver banging matches with your stars every week. You have to do things like you have to showcase the Cameron Grimes and the Boas and all of that.
Cameron Grimes, but I love him.
I'm all right. I'm all right with him. I still haven't seen enough, I don't think.
Well, that's fair. But yeah, you are right. NXT is very good at building new talent, and that takes time. You can't, like you said, you can't just put Adam Cole and Matt Riddle on every week. I mean, sure, it'd be fine and would enjoy it, but then you're not building any new stars. They're building new stars. I think NXT and AEW are going to do great things in that respect. More so than anywhere else, in my opinion. But both great products, both very different from one another. AEW is a very different product to everything that WWE puts on, and vice versa. It's not the same show. it certainly has a big audience, and that audience is going to continue to grow. So I'm more than happy for AEW to be just putting out just bangers of episodes and what it be. But, you know, we'll just see how it works. We need to make sure that we're not just living in a hype phase, and we need to get past the first month or so and then see how it goes from there. That's when I'll really decide whether I'm going to keep watching or not. But I'm certainly I'm not stopping watching that thing because I'm enjoying it. It's just, I don't know. But hey, wrestling is so subjective. So of course, you know, not everyone's going to watch column A or column B. It's going to be a little bit of everything, a little bit of one, whatever. I'm just here to support wrestling in general. So I want it all to do well, regardless of whether it's for me or not. But it's been fun to kind of watch this and experience this and whatever it may be. That's the exciting part of us being on. Well, kind of the reason I'm not going to change this show from being on Fridays is because we can kind of talk about everything, and then SmackDown is that day. So, I mean, it's kind of cool to have this kind of day just to kind of say everything about the week and get ready for SmackDown and whatever it may be. So, we'll see what happens, but it's been fun these last couple of weeks to kind of live in that time and whatever it may be. So, we'll see what happens with it all, but it is a very exciting time, so I'm enjoying it. I'm sure you're enjoying it as well.
I really am. It's so the feeling that I get when these last two Wednesday nights when 8 o'clock hits, and I get to watch two different wrestling shows at the same time, doing two different things, one taking shots at the other. It is such a unique feeling. It gives me goosebumps almost. I really love where wrestling is headed right now.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a fan, that's for sure. And there's so much choice to whatever you want to watch. You've got something to watch pretty much. Well, I mean, yeah, every single day of the week, there's something on. Which is fun for wrestling fans and fun for all of us just to be in it. But now, if you're watching on YouTube, that's youtube.com/JoshRobinson00. You will see behind me there, I've got a picture of the draft up because the draft is happening. It's happening in however many. It's you know, about 24 hours away from when we're recording. But when you're hearing this, it'll be very close to the time that it's the draft. And It's I like the concept that they're going with, but it is a very interesting concept. So, for people who don't know, if you head on to WWE.com or just go onto Twitter and go to WWE's Twitter or something like that, they've kind of released these two pools, I guess you would call them, how does it work, Kev? So basically, there's two pools and you can only draft those people on those nights.
Yeah, so there's two pools of talent. There's a pool for Monday and a pool for Friday. I guess for Friday and Monday, considering SmackDown starts it off. And you get to pick from that pool of talent on that night. So Raw and SmackDown will be picking from one group of people on Friday and one group of people on Monday. Of course, it was announced today that Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are going to square off. Rollins representing Raw, Reigns representing SmackDown. The winner gets the number one pick, and I just imagine that whoever loses that match is going to get drafted to the other brand. If Roman Reigns wins, I have a feeling we're going to see Rollins on SmackDown, and vice versa if Rollins is to win.
It's very, I like it because it's not just like, you know, standard formula, just like, you know, whatever. It's just, there is some names missing from the pool. I think for the most part, everyone watching this on YouTube, I'm not paying attention. I'm just on my laptop to have a look at this kind of list. But, you know, for the most part, it seems like a lot of the big stars are on the SmackDown pool, I guess. So, like, Becky's on this one, Roman, the OC, The Fiend, Drew, Randy, Sasha, Ricochet, Braun, Lashley, Bliss and Nikki, Lacey Evans, Viking Raiders, The Revival, the Street Profits are in here, which is, I guess they're officially on Raw and SmackDown now?
Yeah, I guess they've been called up.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would call it called up anymore. Isn't it just kind of called over?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, NXT, if anything, you know, if you didn't believe it before, now that it's on USA, it's on live television, I guess you would call it the third brand of WWE. I guess. I wish they were included in this, to be completely honest with you. But, so Lucha House Party, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, We got Akira Tozawa, Sin Cara, Eric Young, EC3, Chad Gable, Heath Slater, Drew Gulak, the B Team, and Tamina. So they're on the SmackDown pool. It does seem there's a few obviously there's a few people, notable names missing from the SmackDown pool, but you'd got to think that the first pick would have to probably be like someone like Roman or Becky. Seth's not on the pool, so he's on the Raw side of things. Roman or Becky would probably be the best bet to go first.
Yeah, I think it'll be Becky. I think it'll be Roman or Seth, depending on who wins that match.
Well, Seth's on the Raw side, so he can't get drafted until Monday.
Oh, facts. I didn't know. Oh, shit. Oh, okay. So yes, then you're probably right. I think it'll be Becky then.
Becky, I mean, yeah, Well, Seth, if he won, I guess Raw would get the pick, and then you'd think they would pick Becky. But, being the Raw Women's Champion and that. I wish the champions were kind of excluded from this, to be honest, because it's either going to be obvious they go to the correct brand, or you're going to have a lot of in-between time when there's champions on the same brand, because I guess, technically, both Becky and Charlotte, or Brock and Seth, could all end up on the same show. Technically. Which would be stupid, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I really think that WWE thinks that we're going to like that sort of unpredictability, when I don't think anyone wants to see a Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown or a SmackDown tag team.
We've seen that for the last, 6 months with the wildcard rule, and it didn't really go over very well, to put it lightly.
Yeah, I think WWE is just stubborn, and they're like, oh, it'll be crazy. Like, what happens if the Raw Women's Champion's on SmackDown? Oh, they'll love it. Everyone hates that. And
yeah,
I think they're going to find out when it happens, because I do think that you're going to see at least one instance of a Raw champion or a SmackDown champion on the opposite brand.
Yeah, I think so too. So for the Raw side, just to clarify with everybody, it's Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, Charlotte Flair, Titus O'Neil, Shinsuke Nakamura, in brackets, with Sami Zayn, so I guess they're a package deal. Aleister Black, The New Day, Daniel Bryan, Bayley, Harper, Rowan, Miz, Ali, King Corbin, Elias, Ziggler and Rude, Samoa Joe, the Kabuki Warriors, Rusev, Cedric Alexander, Rey Mysterio, R-Truth, Carmella, AOP, Heavy Machinery, Apollo Crews, Andrade, Liv Morgan, Jinder Mahal, Buddy Murphy, Mojo Rawley, No Way Jose, Dana Brooks, Shelton Benjamin, Hawkins and Ryder, The Iconics, Sarah Logan, Fire and Desire, and Drake Maverick. So, notable names missing from this that I noticed was Ember Moon, Naomi, The Usos, Matt Hardy was not on here, Mike and Maria Kanellis were not on here. I'm sure there's more, but it is weird. So, they did mention something about free agency. Now, you kind of explained it to me in the pre-chat. It's not listed on here. These are the draft-eligible superstars organized by assigned night, I should say. So, I guess those other people become free agents. So, how does that exactly work?
So, in free agency, basically the superstar, the athlete, the football player, the baseball player, the wrestler, whatever you want to go by, is free to sign with whichever brand, team, what have you. They're free to sign with wherever they want. Basically, it's a simple concept, really. In the NFL draft, the NBA draft, you do have guys that go undrafted that are signed as free agents. So that's a very sport concept that they're going with. And I have a feeling we'll see at least one or two names that you think would get drafted probably go in free agency as sort of like an overlooked storyline. I could see The Miz going undrafted and getting fired.
Was Miz listed in this?
I didn't hear you say.
No, I did. I did say The Miz. I just seen him there. I just genuinely forgot I said a lot of names. So I found the rules for the official draft on my computer. So basically, they noted that there's more than 41 superstars get drafted to Raw, 30 to SmackDown. Obviously, for a 3-hour show, you get more people. So WWE's announced the official rules for the 2019 draft. They noted that more than 70 superstars will be eligible for selection. SmackDown 30, Raw get 41. For every 2 picks SmackDown receives, Raw received 3. Now, from memory, that's how the 2016 draft worked. I'm pretty sure they went 2 to 3.
That is how it works.
So, tag teams will count as 1 pick unless Fox or USA representatives decide that they only want 1 member of a tag team. So, I guess you could, split up a tag team if you need to. So WWE will declare any undrafted superstars as free agents, and they will be able to sign with the brand of their choosing. So I guess all the people that aren't drafted can be like, I want to be on SmackDown, or I want to be on Raw, and that's where they kind of go. Which I don't think is something that has ever happened with, at least in wrestling, where there's a free agency and they're just like, I want to go here, so that's where they go, I guess.
No, because in drafts past, you had the set rosters and you just had people switching sides. There weren't really any free agents involved.
No.
And even with the draft in 2016, where there was one big roster and you were separating it all up, I think everyone got picked somewhere. I don't think there were free agents
Heath
except
Slater
for
was.
Heath
Slater was. He was
yeah, that was a storyline.
But that was a storyline.
It was a great storyline.
But I don't know exactly how, it's different. So there's a lot of, for Fox and USA, they have representatives of their networks. There's a whole list if you want to go and have a look of who's going to be appearing. I'm sure it's on WWE.com or something. But there's a lot of people from shows and stuff like that. It's just so any undrafted superstars will immediately be declared free agents and will immediately be able to sign with the brand of their choosing. So I guess it all still happens within the 2 episodes of SmackDown and Raw. So I guess next week's SmackDown is when it really comes into effect. For the most part.
That'll be the first post-draft episode. That's where we'll finally see the rosters fleshed out and chopped up and separated.
Thank God. I'm so excited for that, just to be completely honest. I'm just excited to see the rosters come up. Now, let's just have a little bit of fun at the moment with this. And, if you were, let's say, you're the USA Network, I'm Fox, all right?
Fuck.
And we were going to let's do a little bit of a mock draft here. Maybe just 5 or so picks until we get bored with this. But, say you won the first match, and for USA, for Raw, you get to make the first pick. Who really is your defiant first pick to really come over to Raw?
Roman.
It would be Roman?
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I feel like I would want a champion first. So I would want maybe Becky or Seth or even Brock. Because you want a champion, guaranteed on your show. Obviously, there's no title matches going down on SmackDown. I guess there is one for Raw next week with the Raw Tag Team titles. Does that not kind of spoil where they're going? I don't know. But, I would probably want someone like Becky or Seth or Brock. I mean, why would you choose Roman over a champion? That would be my logic in it anyway. If Roman was the first pick, why would you pick Roman first over a champion?
Because Roman is the fucking man. Because Roman's gonna be a champion someday.
Yeah, that's true.
You remember the first pick in the draft of 2016 was Seth Rollins, who was not champion.
Yeah, wasn't Dean the champion?
Dean was the champion.
They had a title match on that SmackDown, though, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I remember. It's weird. It's weird time. Like 3 years ago, Dean Ambrose was the WWE champion, and he was leading the charge on the blue brand. And now he's not even, he's in a different company that wasn't even in existence at that time. It wasn't even in anyone's brain at that time. It's
just
really weird.
Sean Spears.
It's just so, weird in a good way. I mean, it's just like times have really changed, but a lot of it stayed the same. I mean, Seth Rollins is in the conversation, obviously not now with the pools, but, he's going to be a top draft pick regardless. Everyone kind of wants Seth Rollins. Where do you think The Fiend ends up?
SmackDown.
You think SmackDown? I don't know. I know they're going to want to load SmackDown up with a lot of these top stars, but you still have to have stars on Raw. I don't think Becky goes to SmackDown.
I don't think Becky goes to SmackDown either. I think Becky stays on Raw. I
think she's going to be that, the person, the man, I guess you would say, on Raw. Because you still need viewership on Raw. If you just load up SmackDown, there's not going to be enough. There's going to be so much variety that not everybody's getting used at once. Therefore, their kind of stockpile drops because they're just, not on our screens enough. And Raw, you have to have people kind of there. If you just, I feel like a lot of younger talent is going to go to Raw, in my opinion. I feel like Raw is going to become that show. Why SmackDown has a lot of stars, but you still have to have people that kind of carry and wave the red flag, proudly over on Raw. So, I think Becky probably will end up on Raw. I think Seth, but wherever Becky goes, Seth will go because they don't break up couples, I don't think. So
I think Rollins will stay on Raw as well.
Yeah, so I guess Rollins and Becky. Then you have Brock, Roman, Charlotte would probably be on SmackDown, I would assume. What about someone like Sasha Banks? I mean, she's really variable here because she could end up on either. You could easily keep her on Raw. If Becky's on Raw, they could continue that program. But if you put her onto SmackDown, it freshens up Sasha a little bit. She's never been on SmackDown. And you can kind of, start some things up with Charlotte again. And I would not be mad at seeing Sasha and Charlotte. But I feel like those kind of people like Sasha, Bayley, like Corbin, people like that are variables in this. It's not really set in stone. It's like they're definitely going to be on this show. I feel like they're kind of the slightly below main event scene that's just like really needs to flesh out and iron out these shows.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And as to Sasha, I think Sasha does go to SmackDown. I think that we see her on the blue brand for the first time. I think that we see her feuding with Charlotte, feuding with Bayley's another one. I think if any champion switches brands, I could see it being Bayley. Or she's not champion anymore.
She's not champion anymore. Charlotte is now. Charlotte.
So I could definitely see Bayley going to Raw, and we get Becky Bayley, and we get Sasha Charlotte. That's how I see it.
Not mad. We've never really had Becky and Bayley as a really big program. They've had matches, obviously, but we've never really had that. And I think that could be fun, Bayley as the heel, especially with Bayley's going after Hell in a Cell. I think it could be fun to see Becky and Bayley work together, but we'll see what kind of happens. I see more of like the SmackDown side of things being people like Miz. I see Miz on SmackDown. I see, I could probably see Corbin on SmackDown, to be completely honest with you. People like that are kind of established but could use a little bit of a... And then Raw, I feel like it's going to be more of like the younger talent, like a lot of like Chad Gable is going to be over there, Cedric Alexander, Buddy Murphy. People like that I feel like will be on Raw. But I could be completely wrong. I have no idea. It's the good thing about this draft is that even though there's people on certain brands, I feel like we're just starting again.
Yeah, that's how this feels. This feels like a restart, a refresh, a relaunch, as we are relaunching ourselves today. We don't really know what's going to happen. That's the beauty of it, is that really anything, they can really do anything right now. They could make up any sort of rosters they want. Yep. They could instantly have fresh matchups. Mm-hmm. You could put guys back where they were. You could put guys on new shows. Corbin was great on SmackDown at the beginning of the brand split, so I really would love to see him back there. And same with Miz. Yeah. Miz has to go wherever the IC title goes, and I think that the IC title stays on SmackDown.
You don't see a switch?
Nah, no, I don't think they're going to switch it up. I feel like
AJ stays on Raw, yeah. I think AJ's probably one to keep on Raw. I think the OC in general need to stay together. And I think Raw is probably the place for them because AJ could kind of be, someone that they can always have in the top spot and it won't really be... It's never annoying to see AJ Styles in the top spot. He obviously is great. And he can, he can be a face, he can be a heel. So I feel like he's... I don't like using this word because he's definitely more than that, but like a very good hand to have on Raw. Obviously, it's bigger than being a good hand, but you know what I mean? Like, he's very reliable.
Oh, yeah, he delivers every time you ask him to deliver.
Mm-hmm. So I see that. Shinsuke, I guess, would stay on SmackDown. I'm not mad at that. I feel like the IC title probably would, I would agree with you, would probably stay on SmackDown. Miz changes every draft. Every draft or superstar shakeup that happens, Miz gets flip-flop between the two brands. So I'm sure this will be no exception because he's technically a member of Raw. Technically.
Yeah.
But
he was one of the guys that used the superstar shakeup the most, especially when he was feuding with Shane. But he is a Raw superstar. I see him coming to SmackDown and challenging for the IC title to maybe freshen him up a little bit because he's been sort of in the weeds lately.
Yeah,
I haven't really seen him.
Ever since that Shane storyline and everything like that, he's just been kind of there. He hasn't necessarily been not on television. He's always on television, but he's used as a secondary role in someone else's story. That's usually what Miz is kind of is there for. But you know, he could easily be on either. But he's someone that I think about a lot in this draft. There's a question that I don't really know the answer to. So we have the women's tag team championships. Okay, so do the women's tag team titles still go on either brand? So are they drafted to a roster, but they can appear on either brand? I don't really know how it works because you're not going to put all the women's tag teams on one show, then also have a singles title on that show, because you would have a lot more women on one show than the other, and then I feel like that would get very confusing.
I don't think they want to overload either show with women. I think they want to have a nice balance.
Yeah.
I think that they're still going to be floating.
I hope they are, to be completely honest, because I don't like the wild card rule at all, but I like when it's just like that one variable that's kind of like, oh, they can appear on either. That's cool. It makes that team or that championship seem unique. So I feel like Go on.
If they had one world champion, I would prefer that they floated too. They have two world champions, so it makes sense. But they're not going to make two sets of women's tag team titles.
There's not enough women's tag teams. Really, you have 4 really solid tag teams: Fire and Desire, the Iconics, Bliss and Nikki, and the Kabuki Warriors. There's really not any other women's tag teams. I'm sure you could make some, but we don't just want random tag teams just because. I mean, the Kabuki Warriors, they are the tag team champions at the moment. We'll talk about Hell in a Cell in a minute because we've got a lot to unpack with that, even a few days out of it. But they are the women's tag team champions. I guess they get drafted like anyone else would. They're on the list, so I mean, they get drafted. But I mean, I hope they float. 24/7 championship, I don't know if that will as well. But who really knows what's going to happen with those titles? I feel like the 24/7 title is kind of just, it's not as hot as it was. I'm not disliking it.
I couldn't even tell you who the 24/7 champion was right now.
It's R-Truth again.
What's that, like his 14th, 15th reign?
It's his 20th.
Wow. That's actually awesome.
Yeah, he's a 20-time champion. But does that title float around? Who really knows? It'll probably not. I wouldn't assume. But
I would say no.
The women's tag team titles is kind of up in the air in the sense of what really happens with that. I hope it floats, and I hope they're the one kind of unique team that can be like, I'm on Raw and I'm on SmackDown because I have the women's tag team titles. I wish they would do what they originally intended to do. I wish the women's tag team championships would be featured on NXT, and I wish they would be featured on NXT UK and kind of be the one floating championship between all of the brands, and you never really know what's going to happen. But I understand that would probably be a pain in the ass to write creatively, because you would have people just everywhere. But I hope they at least float between Raw and SmackDown. If I was to put my money on it, I say that's probably what's going to happen, just because there isn't enough tag teams to have it on one show and stuff like that. So I would assume that would be what would be going down, but who knows? We've talked about the draft. We've kind of given our opinions on the draft. Let's talk about Hell in a Cell, because I mean, there's a lot of opinions on it. Obviously, everyone had their kind of take on a lot of things. But before we get to the main thing that happened at Hell in a Cell, let's talk about Becky and Sasha's match at Hell in a Cell, because that was... what a dang match. That was in my opinion, with a modern day Hell in a Cell, Hell in a Cell, let's be honest, Hell in a Cells are not like what they used to be. It's just, they're not as brutal, they're not as intense as they used to be. It's a lot more like weapon-based spots within a Hell in a Cell match. However, this match was like the ultimate modern day Hell in a Cell, in my opinion, because some of those spots I had never even seen before, like with the chair in the cell and the drop kick and stuff like that. just very different spots that I wasn't in, like, I didn't have a visual on that ever, and it was just a very, very good match. Easily the match of the whole night.
I agree.
I was surprised that Banks didn't win. I honestly thought Banks was going to win because in my head, Becky was going to SmackDown, so therefore she was losing the Raw Women's title. But, I mean, not that still can't happen. It still technically can. But I thought Banks had it. Not mad. It was a great match. The finish was, whatever. But it was a very, 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 very good Hell in a Cell match. What did you think about that?
I loved it. It's one of my favorite Hell in a Cell matches in recent memory.
Yeah.
I think it was better than Sasha Charlotte, honestly, from 2016. Yeah. I thought it showcased both women's strengths very well. Mm-hmm. I also thought Sasha would win, but I'm not mad that she didn't. I love Becky. I think Becky's reign can still go on. I think there's still a lot for her to do. And yeah, you're right. Hell in a Cell matches nowadays are basically tables, ladders, and chairs matches with a cage attached.
And you throw them into it sometimes.
They had a really good tables, ladders, and chairs match with a cage attached. Yeah. That's like the best way to look at it.
Yeah, they just some of the, like, the kendo stick spots and that ladder spot where Sasha ran off the apron and did the Meteora into the thing. That was nasty. The one through the table, the one on the chair, everything. That match just really, it flowed perfectly. I couldn't really tell you a spot that went wrong. It was
I think they have great chemistry, and they got really creative. That's the hallmark of a modern day Hell in a Cell match, is how creative you can get.
Because essentially anyone can just throw each other into weapons. Essentially.
Yeah. We saw how creative you can get with the best example of a recent one being Orton and Hardy. They got really creative.
The screwdriver in the ear.
Screwdriver, the hanging from the top RKO, that was something you never seen before. We saw a lot of stuff in this match that we had never seen before, and that's the best kind of Hell in a Cell match in present day WWE.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It was really, really fun. How do you feel about the red cell?
It hurts my eyeballs.
Okay, fair. I know that I was watching with my brother and his girlfriend, and, I mean, my brother is very, like, traditional. Like, not traditional as in, like, old school wrestling. He just doesn't like a lot of change. So to him, he grew up with, like, as all of us did, with the silver cell. And he's just like, it's too distracting from what's going on in the ring because it looks like plastic and it looks really cheap. Which I understand. I don't necessarily hate it, but... You know, I get it's not like a, driving factor. I'm like, I hate this because it's red. But, it can look a bit cheap and nasty when it is red. But whatever it may be. The other really good match of the night was the Tornado Tag Team match with Roman and Bryan, Rowan and Harper. I thought that was really fun. Not surprised at who won, and it kind of was the end of that long journey to get to that match. But what do you think of that match? Because it was good.
It was very good. I enjoyed it. I love tornado tags. I wish they did them more often.
Me too.
But I get that keeping it rare makes it even more special.
Yeah.
I love a good tornado tag, and I love the 4 participants in this match. I'm a big Rowan and Harper guy. I know our guy JPQ said it the other day in the chat. I'm a big Rowan and Harper guy. And I think they both looked really great. Obviously, Roman and Bryan are going to look great. I love the idea of them teaming together as sort of like a mismatch. Not in the fact that they hate each other, but that they're a weird team. I love that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think all 4 hands put on a great match.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. Certainly a lot. Well, not that I was thinking it was going to be bad, but just it kind of shocked me on how good it was and just how fun it was. The hug at the end and Bryan and everything like that. How do you feel about Daniel Bryan essentially being a face again? Essentially,
it just works.
Okay.
I know he's a great heel.
He's a great heel.
He's a great heel, but he's an off-the-charts babyface.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Can't argue with that at all. But that was a fun match. I mean, it was pretty cool to see I did not think the Kabuki Warriors were going to win. I thought this was just a match just to fill the card because you needed to fill the card of that night. How cool was it to see, a lot of people didn't like the fact that, like, oh my god, they're just all of a sudden heels. I didn't see it that way. I saw as they gradually became heels in the match and they turned in the match, in my opinion at least. regardless of how it come, I guess they are technically, if you look at it, they are heels. But, with the Kairi with the stomp into the corner and then the poke in the eyes to Nikki Cross, and then obviously the green mist from Asuka. How'd you feel about that? Because I was legitimately shocked that they won, and shocked that they, I guess, changing up a little bit, because I know Asuka can be a great heel. I didn't know if Kairi could be, but I know we've only seen him for a week, but it seems to be working.
Look at it like this. Instead of looking at it as like an out-of-nowhere heel turn, look at it as like the Kabuki Warriors have been so frustrated with their positioning, and they did whatever it took to win that match. The Green Mist, I don't know, maybe it's a little lazy to have the Asian characters doing the Green Mist, but it works, and it is something we haven't seen in a while.
No. I mean, the Great Muta and Tajiri, obviously, in more recent memory, used the Green Mist and stuff like that. I get that. You could look at it two ways. It's lazy to have the Asian character do that, but it's also paying homage to the people that she probably, has looked up to in her life and stuff like that. So, I mean, two sides of the coin. That's just playing devil's advocate, but I definitely understand. Regardless, I thought it was a cool spot. Asuka needs to work on spitting the green mist, because it just goes all over her. And it's like, how stupid are referees really in wrestling in general? They're just like, clearly Asuka just spat that in her face. Wouldn't it be like,
that's like, wow, how did all that green stuff get there?
Like, and they, but wrestling isn't real. I mean, but
wait, what?
I know it's a shocker, but I thought it was cool, and I was really happy to see Kairi Sane pin Becky Lynch on Raw, because that doesn't happen very often.
That is a huge rub. Becky Lynch hadn't been pinned on WWE TV in I don't even know how long. I saw it on Twitter. I forget how long it was. It's been a long-ass time. And for Kairi to be the person, not Asuka, but Kairi, that is incredible.
And that's not only, I know it was like Green Mist and the roll-up win, whatever. A win's a win. But that's not even putting over Kairi. It's the women's tag team titles. They have not been put over since they've been, created. When have the women's tag team champions ever looked really super dominant? I don't think any of them really did.
The longest reign with the Iconics, and they never looked dominant. They were losing most of their matches.
Well, they weren't even on TV. I mean, it's not. I don't think Bliss and Nikki is the most exposure those titles have ever really got. I think Sasha and Bayley was a little bit different, because it was the kind of start of it. So there was a lot of that weird phase when you're like, I don't know what these titles are really doing, and then they kind of just lost them at WrestleMania, and then the Iconics had them, then Bliss and Nikki, and I mean, Bliss and Nikki have had the championships on TV pretty much solidly every single week since they won them, and then going on to Asuka and Kairi. I have this feeling, and I don't want to jinx anything, but I think this might be the reign that kind of transitions the women's tag team championships into a little bit more importance. I think Bliss and Nikki are obviously going to keep working with the Kabuki Warriors and stuff like that, and I think having them on Asuka and Kairi is going to work. Now, I could be wrong, but I just think there seems to be an actual sense of Bliss and Nikki want the titles back. I don't feel like, really, the Iconics got one little shot and then they were going off television. The Sasha and Bayley obviously never went for the championships again, because Sasha, took a leave of absence from WWE. So really, there's never been this sense of we lost the titles, and now it's just kind of oh, we don't care. There seems to be Bliss and Nikki, they come out on Raw, they're like, we want those tag team championships back because they're important to us. They've never really been important to any team to keep. So
no, they've just been an accessory. That little act of what Bliss and Nikki did, just coming out and talking about the belts and wanting them back, makes the belts seem so much more important than they ever have.
Yeah, because if one team wants them, that means that someone's going to look at them and go, by association, go, oh, if they want them, what are they so great? Then for us, the people watching, going, oh, they actually genuinely want those titles. I understand at least why they want the championships. Maybe you don't think they're that important, but if someone's watching it and then there's a story built, this is really the first proper storyline we're getting with the women's tag team championships that isn't just I want to be the first ever women's tag team champions. I want to win at WrestleMania. Now it's no, I don't just want to... You cheated to get my championships that I earned Bliss and Nikki, that being. And I want them back because we rightfully are the champions. Therefore, you have a storyline, even if it's just 10 minutes, 5 minutes every single week on television. That's 5 minutes on television that you're getting every week that the women's tag team championships have never really had. That's all it takes is a story. Consistent story that can keep going and people wanting to be the champions. I just don't... I know that probably sounds like I'm maybe preaching a little bit, but... it's not really rocket science to just be like, I want those titles, not just be like, I want a match, I'm going for the titles, that's the end of it, not on television, move on. Kairi and Asuka literally cheated to win those championships, so that means it means something to them, because any person that's taking the time out of their day to cheat means they want it bad enough. That's how I see it anyway. That's how I see heels. So, but that's just my philosophy on it. I hope they get more time with it. Regardless, speaking of Hell in a Cell, I was just excited to see Asuka and Kairi get some championships.
Yeah, I'm excited to see them. Hopefully they're on TV a lot. Obviously, that hasn't always been the case with these women's tag team titles, so hopefully they're on TV. Hopefully they keep winning matches against big-name opponents. Hopefully they're not just beating the bottom of the barrel. Yeah,
and I think that's what people have their opinion on Alexa Bliss, but Alexa Bliss is a draw, I think. So that's how I say it. Hell in a Cell, other than that, there wasn't really too much more to talk about. Oh, Ali's counter of the RKO was just
fabulous.
The match, I don't even remember what else happened in that match except for the last 15 seconds. But I'm fine with it because that was just a cool counter and then the ending. And Randy genuinely seemed like, damn, like, this kid's good. That's how I seen it anyway. You know that little moment that, you know, we seen it with, like, Undertaker and Jeff Hardy in the ladder match. And, you know, that sign of respect, like, I may have won, but damn, you good. That's how I seen that match with Randy and Ali. All right. Shall we talk about the main event?
Let's do it.
Okay, so you know that I got genuinely, I don't get pissed off very easily. I ranted on Twitter, multiple tweets of just how I felt about this. Obviously, I'm a lot calmer now. I see it with a different kind of vision. Okay, before we talk about the actual finish, I want to talk about the match. That is where the most opinions are coming from 50-50 here, is that some people hated the match and some people loved the match. I'm talking up until the finish. Then we all kind of agreed. But, okay, what's your opinion on the match itself?
I thought it was lazy. I thought all the curb stomps and stuff, I think that's lazy storytelling.
See, I disagree. I loved it. I thought this match was going wonderfully. I loved everything about the match. I thought it showed a different side of Seth. It built The Fiend as someone that is just completely different from every single person on that roster. That's how I seen it. I understand your point too, because there was like 11 curb stomps or something like that. Maybe the number of them could have went a little bit down, but regardless, I was sitting in the room, I'm like, I tweeted even, I think, but I know I said it to the people in the room with me. I'm like, I have a horrible feeling about this match. My opinion on it is that, my opinion is that it should have never been booked. I don't think The Fiend should have not even been near the championship yet. Later on, sure, go for it. But I think The Fiend should have just been running through people for a few months, because we've had this incredible build with the Fun House and then revealing The Fiend. It's actually been a very good build, regardless of what anyone says about WWE. He has been built near perfectly. Going into this match, I was like, this shouldn't be happening. He shouldn't be near a championship. But the only way, in my opinion, that it would have come out all right, at the sacrifice of Seth Rollins, The Fiend was going to win. That was the only way that I would have been like, this worked. It would have hurt Seth, because Seth really has, been beaten up every week by The Fiend since SummerSlam. Well, since Clash of Champions. So, it would have been at the sacrifice of Seth, but that was the only way that I was kind of coming out of this, like, this is fine. So anything else, I was like, oop, this isn't going to work. Now, the match, I was like, yep, this is fine. I'm liking this. This is cool. I didn't like the lighting. Well, it's not. The red lighting was like, it hurt my eyes. Too. I was like, oh, I'd like turn on the lights. I can't see properly. Anyway, I thought the match was fine. And then you had the toolbox and the ladder and the chair shot to the quote unquote his head. It was all going fine, and then he brought in that sledgehammer, and then And then the no contest. It's officially a no contest. It's not DQ. But that's when shit went bad. There was bullshit chants. There was A-dub chants. There was restart the match chants. It was just, there was a lot of booing. If you watch it on the network now, you won't hear it. It's heavily muted. Because I did rewatch the match after Raw, just to kind of see if my reaction was the same. It was. Okay, so this is where shit went crazy after the finish. So I didn't even need to hear you say it. I know you didn't like the finish, because I didn't like the finish, and it was just terrible. It was just, you cannot have that inside of a Hell in a Cell match. And of all the things, a sledgehammer, it's like, okay, cool, whatever. I know Seth tried to like murder the Fiend, but Jesus. The thing where my opinion kind of is a little bit different is that, well, not a lot different from everybody else. This is where it's split, I guess, is that some people believe that this ruined the Fiend. Some people believe that this ruined Seth. I don't think it ruined either of them. I think it was smart of WWE not to put them on Raw on this week, because I think a lot of people still would, the wound was still very much fresh. But the thing that it hurts the most, I think, in general, is the actual Hell in a Cell match itself. I think kind of devalues that match, because Hell in a Cell is literally hell in a cell. So, the only way to win should be by pinfall or submission. It shouldn't be by ref stoppage, I don't think. Mick Foley got thrown off the top and threw it, and that match, there was thumbtacks in that match as well after all of that, and there was actually a match inside of the ring after all of that stuff, and that match did not stop. I just think it devalues the Hell in a Cell itself. Now, what is your opinion on everything? Obviously, I know you didn't like the finish, but what's your kind of take on all of this?
Okay. So yeah, I didn't like the finish. I don't understand how in a match where they bill it as murder being legal, the sledgehammer is what stopped the match. You had the toolbox, you had the chair shot to the dome, you had all that sort of stuff, and the sledgehammer is where you draw the line. That doesn't make any sense to me. There is absolutely no excuse for them ending a Hell in a Cell match with a ref stoppage. It goes against the very nature of the match itself. It is not how it's supposed to go. And it's 2 years in a row now where we've had the main event of Hell in a Cell inside the Hell in a Cell match end in a no contest. That's 2 years in a row where they didn't know how to fucking book it. So they just had a match thrown out with Lesnar last year, and with this whole DQ, not DQ situation. And you forget last year they threw away Braun Strowman's Money in the Bank shot in Hell in a Cell. This year they're throwing away. I don't think they're throwing away the Fiend, but I think he gets hurt a little bit here, and that he was the one on the receiving end. If you're gonna have a ref stoppage, have the Fiend be beating him so bad.
But wouldn't that mean the Fiend would win the title? So I don't think
the Fiend should have won it. If they're going to book this match, the Fiend should have won the title. They booked themselves into a
corner with this match, to be honest, because they completely booked it where the Fiend couldn't lose, but they didn't want Seth to lose because he would have looked like dog shit in this feud, which I understand, but don't book yourself in that situation in the first place. You could have Seth fight literally anybody else in the entire roster, and it could have went exactly that way, and people wouldn't be as mad. They would be mad if it was a stoppage in general, but Seth could have...
It should have been Seth Corbin.
It could have been Seth, anybody, and the Fiend could have just run through somebody on the card or just appeared. The Fiend doesn't need to wrestle at every pay-per-view. Point blank.
No, he shouldn't wrestle at every pay-per-view. He could be a special attraction.
He could just... It's just... We want to be left... This is the one time I've said in wrestling that I just want to be left wanting more. Therefore, if I don't see the Fiend every month, if I don't see the Fiend on every Raw, when I do see the Fiend, I'm like, shit's going down. Say what you will about Brock Lesnar, but when Brock Lesnar's at a show, it means business. Your eyes are going to be attached to that, whether you want him to win, want him to lose, whatever. Brock Lesnar brings in every appeal of audience. So, and you don't see Brock every week. If you've seen Brock every week, he'd just be another guy. The Fiend is just not like everybody else. Now, I don't think regardless of whether you think he's hurt or not, he's not ruined. I don't think in the slightest bit of my mind that The Fiend is ruined. Everything can be fixed to a certain degree, but I don't think this needs a lot of fixing. It's just a very bad situation that they cannot afford to do again. Ever. Don't ever do this again. And I think that, you heard during the curb stomps and the toolbox and stuff, people were not cheering for Seth in that situation. He was getting booed. Now, I don't hate Seth Rollins at all. I like Seth. Seth's great. But poor Seth Rollins gets put into a lot of situations where it's kind of unwinnable for him. He's been put in them before. It seems like every time Seth gets somewhat over, he gets put in a pretty fucked situation where it's kind of, he's kind of backed into a corner and he can't get out of it. But a lot of people were putting the blame on Seth just because, I guess some people that we have to blame somebody, and unfortunately Seth's in our firing line. How do you feel about Seth Rollins coming out of this? You're a fan of Seth from what we've talked about?
I like Seth. I just don't. I don't know. I feel like you make a good point about them putting him in an unwinnable position because, like, right now, I don't want to cheer for Seth Rollins right now because I want to cheer for The Fiend. I want to. I think the best bet is to use this crowd reaction again to his advantage. I think they should turn him. He's a better heel than he is a babyface, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. I agree with that, but I think WWE lacks a lot of big-time babyfaces, and Seth does have babyface qualities. Obviously, his moveset is very pro-babyface, but he is a better heel. I don't care. I do not want to see The Fiend and Seth Rollins work together for a little while. I don't want to see The Fiend near the title yet. Unless you're going to just go all out and put the title on him, I don't want to see The Fiend with the title. Not yet, anyway. Soon, but not yet. Let's just have The Fiend. I don't care who he fights. Just have him destroy someone in the similar fashion he did to Finn. I'd be happy to see that for the time being for a little while, and then build The Fiend up to win the title. But it's too soon, in my opinion. I think I said that to you from the start. I'm like, I get it. Like, I get he's hot and stuff like that, but I remember us both having bad feelings about this match because if The Fiend just straight up lost, it'd be all the momentum in the world would be killed. If he won, Seth wouldn't look great coming out of this, I don't think, in my opinion. I think that's what they were trying to protect more so than anything, of that they understood that The Fiend was hot, but they booked themselves into this corner where they weren't going to take the title off of Seth. And with the draft coming up and whatever, that may entail with that. But it was just in layman's terms, this whole thing was a fucking shitstorm.
Yeah, this was just a mess. It was just an absolute mess. And they're going to have to do a lot of work to fix this. And I think they did a good start not having Rollins and Wyatt on Raw, like you said, because they were going to get booed out of the building. I even think they'd boo The Fiend at this point because the crowd is just so mad at the whole situation.
I don't know. They'll definitely boo Seth. That's not going to get an argument from me. But I do feel bad for Seth Rollins sometimes because I don't hate Seth, but even me, who understands it all, just looks at him and goes, dude, you're just always in these situations, and I've got to boo somebody, I guess. But I know that's a horrible way to look at it. But regardless, the ending was what it was. We can't change it. It's definitely not a good thing to have your pay-per-view go off the air with heavy boos, because that's what was happening. Even with The Fiend and the blood and everything. I honestly, I can't even visualize that at the moment because I was just so mad in that state that, like, he did the mandible claw on Seth after the match and Seth was bleeding out of his mouth from that, and it was like, what a waste of a spot. I mean, just a waste of time. I did not need to see that. Regardless of whether I thought the actual match up until the finish was good or not, it's not like it was fantastic. I just thought it was different and cool. But regardless, I did not need to see it. It's not something that I was like, really desperately needing out of my wrestling day. It was like, if I didn't see that match, I would have been fine. If that match never happened and Becky and Sasha was going on at the end, damn, that would have been a pretty good pay-per-view. I would say it was definitely not a bad pay-per-view. It was a little boring in some stages, but if Becky and Sasha went on at the end, would have no problem. And the Bray and Seth never happened, I don't think anyone would be complaining.
No.
But, I mean, we can't change it. It happened. I've moved past it at least. I'm certainly not as heated heated about it as I was very heated on Twitter. I was just all cap threading.
You were big mad.
Oh, I was real. I don't get that mad at wrestling. I don't think I've ever been that mad ever at wrestling. Maybe ever. Where to the point where I'm just making like multiple threads about the fucking same thing. I was pissed though. But yeah, you know me. I move on with things. I still watched Raw. A lot of people are like, I'm never watching again. I'm canceling the network.
Yeah, those people were always full of shit though.
A lot of them were. Some have valid reasons, and if you don't want to watch, that's your, everyone's opinion. Like I said at the start, everyone's taste is different, and that's fine. But, I applaud those people that are actually like, listen, I'm not going to go on about this. I'm done with this, and I'm just going to move on. Honestly, I'm like, cool, that's awesome. But the people that are like, I'm canceling WWE Network, and then just watching Raw just to complain, it's like, that's not healthy. I'm watching Raw because I genuinely... one match doesn't change my perception of how I view the whole place. That's how I see it. I was mad, and fuck yeah, I was like, fuck this shit. But I certainly wasn't like, I'm never watching Raw again because of that one 15-minute match not going the way I wanted it to. That's just not how I... If we did that, I would have stopped watching wrestling a long time ago. Like, a long time ago. But, that's just the world in general. People love to complain. It's not everybody, and it's a small minority, but it's a very loud minority that can just get in the way of some things. But Raw was whatever. They were just phoning it in to get to the draft. I'm excited to see the draft. I'm excited to see where it goes. We got Crown Jewel in a few weeks. I mean, how do you feel about Cain Velasquez and Tyson Fury? I mean, I understand why they're there, but honestly, at the end of the day, I don't really give a shit. I understand that they bring in more guys.
No appeal to me whatsoever. Couldn't tell
you who Tyson Fury was before I seen him on SmackDown. I did not know who. I knew who Cain Velasquez was, but I really didn't know who Tyson Fury was. I don't really care about seeing him and Braun, but it's probably going to be at Crown Jewel. They're having some kind of announcement, I guess, some kind of press conference, and I guess it's just announcing those two matches at Crown Jewel. I probably won't watch Crown Jewel. I might. I don't really have any interest in seeing Team Hogan versus Team Flair, and I mean, really, we'll get to the next. What's next after that? Survivor Series. Cool. We're gearing up now. Survivor Series, TLC, and then the Rumble again. So before you know, it'll be Mania time again.
It's all over.
Yep, starts all over again. That's an exciting time. I can't wait for the Rumble. I always look forward to the Rumble. But that's really all that's kind of going on at the moment. There's not really too much more to really talk about. Is there anything else you can think of from the last couple of weeks that you really want to talk about? Maybe Brock. I don't know. How do you feel about Brock and Kofi? I know a lot of opinions on that.
I'm in the field of and I saw this point made on Twitter. I don't think it makes Kofi look weak. I think it makes Kofi look like he got caught.
That's what... Yes! Oh my god, he ran into him. Now, okay.
Yeah.
It was quick. They were running for time. They wanted to get that big moment with Kane, which I understand. I probably would have, if I was, in my head, I wish Kofi would have kicked out and then maybe just another F5 and that was it. Or a couple more or something like that. Just to see Kofi have some fire. But Kofi ran and jumped at Brock. So, that's how I see it as well. A lot of people are like, oh my god, Kofi Kingston was a fantastic WWE champion. The best one in recent memory. He beat a lot of top people. Owens and Randy and Samoa Joe and whoever else he fought. But he had a good run as WWE champion. And it's not a bad thing to lose to Brock Lesnar. He's Brock Lesnar. A lot of people have lost to Brock Lesnar. It is what it is. It made more of an impact him winning in 8 seconds than it would have had him winning in a minute. So, I'm fine with it. It led to that moment. Kofi will be in some... I think probably the New Day will end up on Raw. So, who knows? Maybe Kofi will work with Seth Rollins, or Kofi will work with someone else, or, there's always plans. But he certainly had a good reign as WWE champion. I agree with you completely. He just... wrong place, wrong time, got caught, F5, and it was done.
Yeah, and you know what? It's all about how you bounce back, and I think Kofi's going to bounce back just fine. I
agree. I think sometimes the most important moments in people's career is the first feud after they lose a championship. That's when you know if they're a solid star and they're going to stay in the kind of upper echelons of everything, because sometimes you can win a title and then You're not featured anymore. Other people win a title, have it for a little bit of time, and then after they lose it, they become the most over thing ever. Daniel Bryan is a perfect example of that. So, you know, I'm not mad at it. When it happened, I genuinely actually, like, said I was laughing because I was like, of course it happened like this. And I knew that. I looked at the time and I was like, oh, we haven't got much time for this. I mean, SmackDown, I liked SmackDown on last week. I liked everything about it. I thought it was the best show of the week, to be completely honest. I thought SmackDown was just awesome. Everything about it was just like, it did feel like they were trying to fit a lot into one bag. And they were really kind of just going. But I understood that there was a lot to get on that show. But I really enjoyed SmackDown from top to bottom. I thought the Becky and Rock stuff was awesome. The 4 Horsewomen tag match, the ladder match. Hey, not really many people are talking about the fact that Shane's kind of gone now, I guess. For at least the time being.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, honestly. After all the shit we had to go through with Shane, it's good to have him off the TV screen and just back behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll pop up at Mania or something like that, you know, to jump off something. But that's fine by me. I really didn't have that much of an issue with Shane. But that ladder match was fun. I liked the ladder match between him and Owens. So that was cool. We'll see what happens. But I guess that's all we really need to talk about. We'll stay posted to my Twitter for Reverb Rewind and a few other things that I got in the work. A few new series and stuff like that. But this was kind of it's cool. We got like a little bit of an updated logo and the theme music is slightly updated. I did some stuff to that. I'm sure you would have heard it by now, but yeah, it's just, we needed a little bit of not a reset, just kind of a shake up, if you will. But I'm
reverb reset.
A reverb reset. See, I love the letter R for this because there's so many words. It's just we just needed something. Well, at least in my brain, I was kind of not stale on this. I was just kind of like, I need to see where I'm at with this because I'm not really, my mind was kind of everywhere with it. But I'm glad that we kind of took a little bit of a and did that. So make sure to catch us next Friday. Make sure to rate this podcast 5 stars on iTunes. Follow along on your favorite podcasting app. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a like, leave a sub to my channel. Videocast is going to be kind of, here to stay. I think this is kind of a cool way to kind of do this. I always kind of wanted to do it, but with the Brainbuster stuff, I was like, I don't know how it was going to work. And now that I've kind of gotten used to doing it with my other show, this was just kind of naturally going to happen as well. So I hope you're enjoying that. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on this week's show, or leave a review on iTunes, or you can always catch us on Twitter. Our Twitter links are on the screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. But of course, you can catch me at JoshRobertson00. Kevin's Twitter is at KevinCWrestling. We're always chatting away about wrestling. Kevin's got his blogs and stuff that he does, his mailbag stuff that he does every Wednesday or Thursday. So make sure to catch Kevin there. Anything else you want to add in, Kev?
Much love.
Yeah. And forever always, be kind to one another, and we'll catch you next time on Wrestling Reverb. Peace out.